taste test with cookie. This is fresh. It hasn't crusted or dried yet, but Clay already ate his, put the whole thing in his mouth. That's a whole nother like different experience. What's up guys, Lisa of Borderlands here, and today we're going to be making rolled buttercream. I came across rolled buttercream on the Sweet Sugar Belle Facebook page, and people were like, have you tried this before? It's supposed to behave kind of like fondant, kind of like modeling chocolate, and taste like buttercream, so I was super intrigued. The recipe I'm using today is by Pam Kennedy Bakes, and I'm making a couple modifications to it based on the research I've done just reading blogs. She uses all butter for her rolled buttercream, and I'm going to be using half butter and half shortening to cut down on that buttery taste that I personally don't like very much. All the ingredients, measurements, and directions are in the description box below. Thanks Pam for showing us how to do this, and this is going to be my first time, so let's see how this is going to work. In the bowl of a stand mixer, I've got 4 ounces of butter at room temperature and 4 ounces of vegetable shortening. This is Crisco, also at room temp. The recipe is super easy and straightforward. You dump everything into a bowl and you use a stand mixer or a hand mixer to get it to like this fondant style dough. 2 pounds of powdered sugar, about 3 tablespoons of light corn syrup. 1, 2, 3. Pam put 3 teaspoons of vanilla in there. I'm going to go with just about 1.5. I think that's going to be enough for me. Of course, you can flavor this however you want, color it however you want. The gel I'm using today is liquid whitener. This is basically like a white gel color that I also put in my base royal icing to help keep my bases more white. And we're adding this to our rolled buttercream because buttercream's a little bit yellow. This will offset some of that. About 1 teaspoon worth of gel. I put everything into my stand mixer and I'm using a paddle attachment, and we are going to just turn it on and see what happens. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected, but I'm trusting the process and I expect that it's going to come together. I've got it on low right now and I'm going to turn it up like, what's the number on here?
It is on like low.
Low, so we're going to turn it 1 above low. Feels good. It's kind of like making shortbread, or it reminds me of making shortbread where everything looks like it's never going to come together, super sandy, and then it starts to come together like this. At this point, it feels a little bit like Play-Doh, actually. All right, I think this is pretty good. So this is where we're going to stop. It is pretty much adhering to itself, and it feels like Play-Doh. Taste test, like squishing it around. Looks really good. I really, really, really like the way this looks. I don't know how it behaves, so we'll see. You know what it reminds me of? Pillow mints. Or those after dinner mints. Want to try? I think maybe the process might be similar to like butter mints, but just without...
Oh yeah. Like a softer.
I like this. You can work with this just like how you use fondant and modeling chocolate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out into about 1/8 of an inch thick. Adhere it to a cookie using corn syrup as the glue, and then we'll taste again. I'm using a guided rolling pin to help me ensure that the width of the rolled buttercream is the same or consistent. And I've set it to the 3mm thickness. You can grab these on Amazon. They're really, really affordable. I highly recommend getting one if you're a cookie decorator or you do a lot of like rolled fondant stuff. So I've got a work mat here. You can get one of these in our shop. And I'm just going to put a piece of plastic wrap on here so that it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. Going in with my cookie cutter. It's a little crumblier, so I would say learn to adjust based on where you're located, humidity levels and stuff. It's very dry here and it's middle of summer. So I probably should have added a little bit more corn syrup. I will know that for next time. Or I can probably add a little bit to this batch. But I'm going to go and brush the surface with just a tiny bit of cornstarch to help the rolled buttercream adhere. And to get this off of the surface, I'm putting my hand like underneath and just gently transferring it, laying it on, and it looks just like fondant. So because it's so high fat, I wonder how gel is going to behave in it. It could be fine. It probably will just be fine. Okay, I just put a tiny bit of gel on there. Just want a little bit of pink. So definitely a little more moisture next time. All right, well, distributing the color takes some time. And I think this goes back to the base consistency of my rolled buttercream is a little bit too dry. I think everything kind of goes back to that right now. But I think if I fix that, this will be okay. I got some molds here. I've got an intricate one because I'm really curious to see how this works. And then I've got a much less intricate one. Oh, by the way, this is a ratio of my cookie to rolled buttercream. My cookies are rolled at 8mm, and this is about 2.5, 3mm thick layer of rolled buttercream. Let's try in the intricate molds. Let's see how well, oh, because you know what? It's very crumbly because it's not moist enough. So I have to adjust. I am going to put more corn syrup in here to help it bind. I put 3 tablespoons of corn syrup in here. And of course I did use Crisco, which is a little bit different from Pam's recipe, which uses all butter. So now we're upping it to about 4 to 5 tablespoons of light corn syrup. I'm gonna put it back in the mixer and see if that helps make things stick to itself a little bit more. So you can obviously tell it's holding together onto itself a lot more. So let's feel it and then adjust again. Oh yeah, this is very different from what it was before. It is sticking to itself a lot more and a lot less crumbly. I think this is about good, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So I would say total 5 tablespoons of corn syrup is what I ended up using for my batch. This is so dry that I'm not even gonna bother. What if I needed corn syrup into this? Because I don't want to lose it. Well, that really works. Adding in that extra corn syrup to help it have a little bit more moisture so that it's not as crumbly. If you guys want one of these scrapers, they come in super handy for mold work and for like picking up little things. Grab it from our website, borderlandsbakery.com. I expect that this is going to be hard to demold right now because it's so soft and it's buttery. So I'm going to throw this in the freezer for a little bit, or if you got a little ice pack and you're working with modeling chocolate and you need to keep it cool or cool it down, I like to place the mold on top of the little ice pack, and that way I can keep it in my workspace instead of having to like move back and forth between the fridge and whatever I'm working on. Nice. Rolled buttercream is supposed to crust and dry out as long as you let it dry uncovered. So after it crusts like overnight, you can pipe things on it with royal icing or with chocolate or with fondant, whatever you want, and you should be able to stack them once the cookies are dry. So these have been sitting on the ice pack for a little bit, and you can tell they're ready because they're ready to pop out on their own. And they're more solid than they were when I put them in the mold. Yeah, and once they're cold, they're very easy to pop out, it seems. But of course, this depends on the shape as well. And this is probably not ready. Yeah, it is difficult to get this out of intricate molds. I'm sure it's possible, but you can see how like the very intricate parts are breaking. And because fondant is much more flexible and modeling chocolate has a little more, it's like it seeps into all the little corners and then kind of settles a little bit more hard. I think it's going to be a challenge working with super intricate molds, unless if you add more moisture to your rolled buttercream, then it can hold together a little bit better. I'm just going to put some corn syrup down and start building some layers. Of course, this is just for example, so nothing is going to look super pretty or like ultra official, but we get the idea. Rolled buttercream gets a thumbs up from me, and again, I'm just doing it for the first time right now. Pam's directions are super easy to follow, so make sure you check out her video in the description box. Would you guys try this out? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see what you guys are doing with rolled buttercream, so let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.